Gyrate with me. Have fun with me. LSD. LSD.
Organizem zgleda na kemijo.
LSD pa naj bi bil po nekaterih raziskavah učinkovit pri zdravljenju alkoholizma. Pseudohalucinacije.
Ta zadeva je tudi uspešna.
Pseudohalucinacije. Vzel LSD, ko je bil v smrtni postelji. Pseudohalucinacije. Za informacijo, 500 gramov LSD-ja povzroči halucinacije pri približno 250.000 ljudeh.
Drage poslušalke, cenjeni poslušalci, v današnjem pogovornem terminu vam bomo predvajali posnetek pogovora z dr. Stanislavom Grofom, psihiatrom z več kot 50-letnimi izkušnjami pri raziskovanju različnih stanj zavesti. Svoje delo je začel v Pragi in od konca 50-ih do leta 67 vodil terapije in raziskave na področju psihedelikov, medtem ko je v Združenih državah vodil tudi zadnjo uradno raziskavo z LSD-jem pred njegovo prepovedjo. Terapije in raziskave spremenjenih stanj zavesti oziroma holotropnih stanj, kot jih sam poimenuje, je nadaljeval tudi po prepovedi psihedeličnih snovi in razvil metodo, s katero jih je uspešno nadomestil. Stanislav Grof, eden vodilnih psihiatrov našega časa, ustanovitev transpersonalne psihologije, s svojim delom teži k premoščanju razlik med starodavno modrostjo in moderno znanostjo, med vzhodno duhovnostjo in zahodnim pragmatizmom. Uživajte.
What is this new scientific paradigm in psychology and psychiatry, and indeed one of reality that you and your colleagues brought about and named transpersonal psychology?
Well, this is a new branch of psychology that was developed in the late 60s. At that time, two famous American psychologists, Abraham Maslow and Tony Sutich, who earlier started the movement of humanistic psychology, became aware of the fact that even humanistic psychology was still very limited and did not include the spiritual dimension. For example, did not include things that anthropologists found when they were studying shamanism or what you find in comparative religion, the study of the Eastern philosophies of Buddhism, Hinduism, Tibetan Buddhism, Taoism, and so on, or the experiences of Christian mystics and the research of meditation and so on. So they decided that we needed yet another psychology. Humanistic psychology that they had started was a reaction to two movements in psychology that for the first half of the 20th century really dominated psychology, particularly American psychology, which was behaviorism and psychoanalysis. And humanistic psychology was created as a kind of reaction to it, expanding that field to include things like self-actualization, self-realization, emphasis on introspective data as well as objective study of behavior and so on. And transpersonal psychology was the next step that now was introducing the spiritual dimension as something very significant in the human psyche. And I was invited to a small circle that was formulating the principles of this new psychology by Abe Maslow and by Anthony Sutich, to bring in the data from psychedelic research, from the study of non-ordinary states of consciousness. So that was another very important element in this new psychology. So I would say now that transpersonal psychology, is a field of psychology that studies the whole spectrum of human experience, including the observations from the spiritual traditions and from the study of non-ordinary states of consciousness. Now, initially, when we formulated the basic principles of felt it made a lot of sense. It treated the ritual and spiritual life of humanity with respect, and also included the observations from modern consciousness research. But there was a big problem in that there was such a deep gap between this new psychology and what was considered the scientific worldview, which was monistic, materialistic. And so the next step happened when bridges occurred, that were linking this new transpersonal psychology to some revolutionary advances in other disciplines, in quantum relativistic physics, and then later in biology, the holographic paradigm, and other avenues of modern research in the so-called hard sciences. So today the new paradigm is not just limited to psychology and psychiatry, but we can talk about this transpersonal vision, which is interdisciplinary.
Mm-hmm.
It's tremendous revolution. There was Fritjof Capra's book, The Tao of Physics. That was something that showed us that the traditional worldview in materialistic science was basically reflecting what Fritjof Capra called the Cartesian-Newtonian paradigm, and that the physicists themselves in the 20th century really transcended every aspect of that worldview, but the other disciplines that sort of modeled themselves after physics really haven't caught up, and they were still stuck in the 17th century thinking. So in a sense, this revolution in psychiatry and psychology is like a logical continuation or complement to what already happened in physics in the first 3 decades of the 20th century.
All right. So I think that the listeners got a good idea of what we are going to talk about today and what the implications of your new paradigm are. But can we now move to the early years of your professional life? Why you decided to study medicine, and as I understand, you specialized as a traditional psychoanalyst. Is that right?
Yes. My original plans were completely different. I like to draw and paint, and I was very, very enthusiastic about animated movies and cartoons, and I wanted to work in animated movies. And when I was finishing what we call gymnasium, I don't know if you have the same
Yes, of course.
name.
Gymnasia.
I already had an interview, and I was supposed to start in the studios, film studios in Prague. And at that time, a friend of mine gave me introductory lectures of psychoanalysis by Freud. And I started reading it in the evening, and I couldn't go to sleep. I sort of read through the night. And I got so excited about psychoanalysis that I gave up the animated movies, and I enrolled in the medical school, which was a necessary condition for becoming a psychoanalyst. So I studied medicine specifically, to become a psychoanalyst.